Hey, I promise. Right before we came on this broadcast, I was on a pop shot and I just hit 12 straight. I ain't never hit 12 straight shots in my entire life. Now you know the real reason I wanted Darius Garland's ass on the bench. Coming. 10-day contract is coming soon. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Ultimate 216 Show, episode 2 starts right now. Seriously, y'all, what's good, man? It's your host, Earl of Pearl, episode 2 of the Ultimate 216 Show. First time we going live, we about to do a lot of fan interaction. I was seriously in there hooping though on the pop shop before we was getting started, man. Like McNuggets better watch out. Definitely hit 12 in a row. I could never hoop, man. And it's funny because I used to kind of like get picked to run all the time because I kind of look like I can hoop, but I can't. So I used to be out there on the court running around, getting all sweaty, can't dribble, can't shoot. I used to be out there making all kind of noises like, get off me. Get off me. What's good with y'all, man? We're going to have some fun today. We got a lot to talk about. Don't have a lot of time to talk about it. We're going to talk about the Browns Stadium, man. Jason Lloyd wrote a crazy ass article this morning that was fire. I'm going to drop the link to that article in the chat so y'all can check that out. Untouchable, touchable. Ben Simmons, man, he put his rankings out there. Bill Simmons, I'm sorry, put his rankings out there. And we're going to talk about where a couple Cavaliers, where they lie at on there. And then your journey, it's your journey. And of course, first time we're going to do some questions. We're going to do some answers, man. Super chats are welcome. First things first, before we really get into this, I need y'all to do two things for me. Drop in the chat where you watching from right now. And also hashtag you 216 as we get this thing started. A couple things I want to take care of real quick. Thoughts and prayers to everybody in Kansas City. We all know by now the 20 plus people that was injured in the shooting and also the one person that lost their life. So thoughts and prayers to them. And today on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, we did not get to our Black History moment. So here we go. Today it is going to be Venus Williams. Actually, February of 2002, she became the first Black woman to be ranked number 1 by the Women's Tennis Association, man. So shout out to Venus Williams. So let me drop this link real quick so we can get started on this. My man said he checking in from Charlotte. That's what's up. Denver, Colorado, and this boy, East Lake, Ohio, man. Shout out to all y'all, man. Thank you for definitely pulling up on me. So, like I said, Jason Lloyd wrote a great article detailing basically the Cleveland Browns, they want a dome stadium. And he talked about in the article a lot of, the pros and the cons with this current stadium look like, how it was thrown together, and just honestly how bad the fan experience is. He talked about, Mayor Justin Bibb standing his ground when the initial talks kicked off, and he thought that was a good negotiation tactic when he led with, let's just renovate the current stadium. And the article goes on to outline different ideas and different ways that the city can come together and, fund a brand new stadium. And I think he said that the stadium will cost upward of like $2.2 billion to build, and that definitely the Haslams would have to put in half of it. And so the conversation that I want to start with today is, do you believe that the city should have to, put something in it, or should just Jimmy Haslam front the entire bill? Now, we about to get into this conversation, and the opinion that I have personally, it's an emotional based opinion. If I'm being totally honest, there are some facts in there, but again, this is just my opinion, and I'm very curious to know what you all think. We're gonna have a conversation about it. There might be some people in the chat. There might be some people watching who might look at this from an economical standpoint. They might look at it from a business standpoint. I'm kind of coming from a totally different level with this thing, right? And hopefully you all can feel where I'm coming from, understand it. But again, we're gonna have a conversation about it. So before I even get started, because this is one of these conversations, man, I'm gonna go ahead and let my hair down for this episode. I'm gonna go ahead and let my hair down because this might get wild. Somebody left a comment this morning and said, "Man, this one might get wild and spicy." So had a spirited conversation with somebody I know today, and we got to talking about the stadium situation, right? And I just want to start from if I was Justin Bibb, this would be my perspective of it, right? First and foremost, Justin Bibb is a 36-year-old mayor in the city of Cleveland. And when you're that young in that position of power, I think sometimes people might purposely poke the bear just to see what type of moves you might make, just to see how you build, just to see if they can play with you or not. And there was a couple thoughts that I had this morning that I had never really kind of put together the way that I did earlier today. And I want to see if you all can follow me on this. Definitely jump in the chat and tell me what you all think. Just to be a 36-year-old black man from the inner city by way of the Mount Pleasant area. If you don't know anything about the Mount Pleasant area, Mount Pleasant is like the lower income housing projects, right? It's in the projects in the inner city of Cleveland. Very poverty-like situation when you grow up, in that area. A lot of murders, a lot of drugs, a lot of things that you see growing up over there. And for him to kind of have overcame all that, all of that to be where he is now, kudos to him. But this was my thought. If I'm a young man from the inner city of Cleveland and I grew up in Mount Pleasant, right? When we get to City Hall and we have these roundtable meetings about proposals of how to raise money or fund a new Cleveland Brown Stadium, man, I'm sorry. I got a hard time with a billionaire telling me that my city taxpayers got to help pay for it. Especially when I know I got some serious, more pressing issues that's going on in the city of Cleveland. Jimmy Haslam, you a billionaire. You buy and sell companies all the time. You paid $230 million to a quarterback. You bought a percentage or a stake in the Milwaukee Bucks. And now you're going to turn around when you know we need a stadium, you see the climate of the city, and you feel like that the taxpayers should help fund something that you very well can fund yourself. To me, that don't make sense. I could be totally wrong. Again, I'm not coming from a political standpoint. I'm just giving you my opinion from being as somebody that's from the inner city. And we're going to get into the pros and the cons of what moving the stadium out of downtown Cleveland might mean, what moving the stadium to possibly Brook Park might mean, all that good stuff. But for me, I have a hard time telling my city taxpayers that they got to help fund the stadium when you're a billionaire. When I've seen you toss around money left and right in other situations, and now you coming back here saying, well, hey, look, I need your help to fund this. Like, to me, that don't make sense. That's like somebody that who buy it's somebody who buy shoes and jewelry all the time, but then their car break down and then they come to you and say, hey, I got half. I just need you to kick in the other half. Like, that don't make sense to me, right? And again, I'm speaking from somebody I'm common folk. I'm not a politician. So I gotta have common folk conversations. I don't know the ins and outs of the politics that surround these type of things. But what I do know, and I'm gonna play this clip for you shortly from Jason Lloyd, is that the lease on the current Cleveland Brown Stadium is up in 4 years. And so these talks about building a new stadium, they are about to happen fast, right? Like you have to get legislation passed first, and then you need to start to get the ball rolling on a brand new stadium so that the Cleveland Browns have a home to play in once the season starts. Now, this is Jason Lloyd from this morning, and he kind of talked about the part of the article where, again, the legislation passed in Minnesota. He used that as the outline example of why the Cleveland Browns need to get this done now and why these talks will increase. And after we play this clip, we're going to get back to the conversation of there are going to be many conversations had about different creative ways that we can get this stadium funded. But check out Jason Lloyd. This was from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show this morning.
Oh, it's going to be a battle over the next couple of years, I think, in terms of what they do with the stadium. And the city's been a little bit slow to come to the table. I think they've got other priorities and other things that they're looking at. And the Browns aren't really their number one concern right now because the lease has 4 years to go. But I've talked to people who build these things, who've been part of the projects. And they said, you have to go now. Like, you got to do this now. Now is the time. We're 4 years out from the end of the lease. And if you go look at Minnesota, when they built the dome, they passed legislation in 2012 and the stadium opened in 2016, 4 years out. So now the question becomes, and really the story that I put out today was just like, hey, they're serious about this dome. Like, the Browns want a dome. And the idea of renovating on the lakefront is still possible because it costs a lot less, obviously, than building a new dome.
Jimmy Haslam is serious about a dome. The Browns want a dome. If you're that serious about a dome and you got the money, well, damn it, build it yourself, right? Because to me, also in the article, that 176 acres of land has not officially been purchased by the Haslam family as of yet. Like, the article is right there in the chat. The 176, they still scoping it. They still going around it, but he hasn't bought the land yet. So this whole thing can unravel and we could be back to square one. But to me, it was almost like a silent threat. And if you really want the stadium, a dome built that bad, then Jimmy, you funded yourself, right? Because before we came on, I reached out to a few people, and I had the pleasure of knowing somebody who actually was a council member in the city of Cleveland for the better part of 15 years. And I asked the question about other possible sites downtown Cleveland to put a new Brown stadium at. And this was the message. I don't think there's any other footprint downtown where a new stadium can be built. The biggest problem with rebuilding on the same spot is, where would the team play during construction? The only way taxpayers can meet the owners in the middle is through tax breaks and incentives. We have nothing else to offer. The owners have all the leverage in every NFL city except for Green Bay. As a city, we don't get nearly what we should from the owners and community benefits, jobs, investments, development. But losing a major and legacy sports franchise would be economically and politically catastrophic. That was the information I got back. I want to know what y'all think about some of that. Now, for me, first of all, a straight up dome, that's a no-go, right? You got to at least have a retractable roof on this thing. Like, you got to be able to like let your top back sometimes, especially when it's warm outside. Who the hell want to sit in a traditional dome? And it might not be a traditional dome. I know Minnesota, their roof is like all glass. Excuse me, man, but don't nobody want that here. We want natural grass and we want a retractable roof. Am I all over the place or am I right? Like, somebody tell me. Somebody tell me. So when I say that the city have more pressing issues, right? I said this to Jason earlier today, and I really meant it. In the coming months, weeks, and year or so, whatever, they're gonna have plenty of strategy meetings. They are gonna have plenty of meetings of creative ways to come up with different ways outside of marijuana and legalized gambling to fund this stadium, right? And I think it's cool when people come together to get creative and think outside the box, right? But I think the energy is misplaced. I'm in Channel 3 building, right here off Lakeside. If I go out the parking lot and I make a left and I literally go, 500 feet, there's a homeless shelter down the street. The city of Cleveland homeless rate is at an all-time high. I found this article on cleveland.com from last year, and it just says that since 2016, homelessness has impacted at least 5,000 households per year in the city of Cleveland. The article also goes on to state that a 25% decrease was pledged by 2027, and that the plan was strategic, but it was also underfunded. So if you can be that creative to come up with different strategy plans to help fund a billionaire with a new stadium, then you can be that creative to come up with strategy plans to help get homeless people off the streets. And inside the inner city of Cleveland, another issue that we got, there's still a lot of abandoned houses and buildings that are still standing tall. And that pisses me off. Why? Because unfortunately, these are areas where young men and women are raped at. These are areas where young men and women are murdered at. These are areas where people who have like drug problems, drug addictions, this is where they kind of go off to do their drugs, right? And instead of taking all this time and energy and all this creativity to construct a plan to help build a stadium that our owner very well got the money to build itself, to me, it only makes sense to just take that and be more resourceful with it. And like Jason Lloyd said, to the mayor, he don't believe that the Browns is top priority. And in my opinion, they shouldn't be. And I know, again, this is coming from an emotional space. A lot of you all might not even agree with me at all. But all I'm saying is I find it hard to believe that a owner would go to the mayor in a city where you definitely need the roads to be a little bit better than what they are in the inner city. You definitely need to take these abandoned buildings down and abandoned houses down. You definitely need to do something with the like poverty rate and homeless rate in the city of Cleveland. Like you gonna go to that mayor that's dealing with all those different issues and say, "Hey, by the way, I need your taxpayers to help build this stadium." But it's like, hold on, you tossing around money left and right in Milwaukee. Why can't you do that here? And it's like, I don't get it. Like you want us to pay for something, but you telling us it's gonna be a dome. Shout out to JDS. I think that's what he just said in this comment. Earl is like, you pay for it, we don't get the money, but I want a dome with a retractable roof. All I'm saying is this: how you gonna ask us to pay for something and you telling us what it's gonna be? You saying it's gonna be a dome. You don't want a retractable roof, but at the same time, I want you to help pay for it. I just find it hard to believe that somebody with that much money needs my help, and I get it. This is how billionaires stay billionaires. This is how rich people stay rich people. But to me, it still don't make sense. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Don't forget to like, subscribe, man, to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Ring the bell for the latest alerts of the Ultimate 216 Show, the Ultimate Brown Show, the Ultimate Cab Show. Really interested to know what y'all think. Definitely going to get carve out some time to go through some of these comments, man. I thank y'all so much for joining me for the first live edition of the Ultimate 216 Show. Don't forget, you got any show ideas? You got any people that you know personally that's doing something positive in the city? Hit me up. You know my socials. You know my email. I would love to talk to some of these people and see what they got going on, man. So, like I said, don't forget, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and ring that bell. Next up, man, something I wanted to get into before we kind of transitioned over to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kevin Stefanski, of course, won Coach of the Year last week. Shout out to Kevin Stefanski. Job well done. That's number 2 in 4 seasons as the Cleveland Browns coach. And this season, just like the first time he won that award, in my opinion, was very, very special. 2020 had its own set of circumstances that everybody in America was dealing with. It seemed like people across the world was dealing with. And when you have a team that was not that good, a very young roster, and you're a brand new head coach for the first time, and because of what's going on in the world, you can't touch them, you can't see them, like you can't be hands-on at all, and you're dealing with installation of a new offense. You're trying to change the culture, you're trying to build relationships with these people. Somehow, some way, the Cleveland Browns make the playoffs. He wins Coach of the Year. You fast forward to this past season that we just completed, to where, as Andrew Berry said, this team had every excuse in the world to quit, to fold it in, pack it up, and say, "Hey, I'll see y'all in 2024." But somehow, some way, he was able to galvanize the troops every single week that the Cleveland Browns played a football game, and for the most part, they were ready to play. We all know by now, man. You start 5 different quarterbacks. You have 4 different quarterbacks win games this year. You set all kind of different NFL records how you went about things, right? And then we get to the end of the season, and Josina Anderson is the first one to report all these overhaul changes of the Cleveland Browns offensive side of their coaching staff. And I remember reading the tweet, and it said that there were going to be significant and sweeping changes with the Cleveland Browns offense in 2024. And you've seen the tight ends coach get fired. You've seen the running backs coach get fired. You've seen Alex Van Pelt get fired. You just seen all these different changes. Eventually, Ken Dorsey takes over the offensive coordinator position. I don't think nothing official has been announced yet, but if I had to assume, I would assume that Ken Dorsey is also the quarterbacks coach for this team. So now you have him in place, right? And you'll have year two with Bubba Ventrone and year two with Jim Schwartz. As I'm looking at Kevin Stefanski's coaching staff right now, as it stands, it's damn good, at least from the coordinator position. I think that you've built out a solid stable to where now, as you continue to elevate as a coach, now you can kind of step back and become the CEO of this team. I think that when you're in leadership and you're able to hire quality people and then delegate to those people, I think that makes your organization stronger. I think for a very long time, and I don't know this to be fact, but if I could vision how it goes on a day-to-day basis in Berea, Kevin Stefanski runs the offense, Bubba Ventrone runs the special teams, Jim Schwartz runs the defense, and that's just how it goes. But I think now you have Ken Dorsey in the fold to where Kevin Stefanski can sit back and actually observe the entire team because he's not putting so much of his energy on the offensive side of the ball. I think when you hire a dude like Ken Dorsey, you clearly hired him because you believe in his ability to unlock Deshaun Watson, to unlock the Browns offense on the next level, and as well as to take some stuff off of your plate, right? And so for me, I think that creates an even better culture, a healthier culture, and I think it gives Kevin Stefanski more time to worry about other things as he continues to grow as a head coach, as this team continues to, chase their ultimate goal of winning the Super Bowl. And so we don't know who will or who will not call plays for the Cleveland Browns going forward. But I am curious to know, what do you all think of the current structure of the Cleveland Browns coaching staff? Does it feel like more like Kevin Stefanski is a CEO type coach to where, you know, it's you got the three guys reporting back to me. We have conversations. You all go back to your respective position groups, etc., and then you do your thing from there. So to me, I think that as I look forward, and I've kind of gotten out of my initial feelings, because if I'm being honest with y'all, and I never tell y'all no lies on these streams, like the first thing I said when Ken Dorsey was hired was, well, why the hell you go get somebody that just got fired? But again, that's being emotional. That's being in the moment. It is what it is. He's here now, and we definitely want this dude to have success, because if he has success, that means that the Cleveland Browns overall is having success. And if you bleed orange and brown, if you truly like cheer for this team, then that should be the only thing that really matter for real. So I'm interested to know and to see who will end up being the play caller for the Cleveland Browns going forward. But I do like the structure of the coaching staff. I like how Kevin Stefanski have kind of absorbed this, like, CEO type of like role and mentality. And I think that it's a sign that he's growing as a coach, and he's starting to hire good people and put those people in place. So y'all tell me what y'all think about that. Don't forget, man, in about 8 or 9 minutes, we're gonna run through these comments. Try to get as many up on the board as I can. Don't forget to drop where it is that you are watching from. Super chats is always welcome. And of course, that hashtag you216 as we move forward. Don't forget, man, to catch the next episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Cavaliers show. The Cavs are on the All-Star break right now. Shout out to them. They finished the first half of the season strong, winners of 18 of their last 20 games. Mikey McNuggets, Jason Lloyd will have another fire episode for you that'll be coming to you soon within the next couple days. Speaking of the Cleveland Cavaliers, uh, So we talked about this a little bit on the show. Bill Simmons dropped his NBA rankings today. And I thought this was an interesting conversation just to spend a few minutes on, because we've had this talk on the show a lot about who's touchable and who's untouchable for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I thought this was a great list. First of all, I thought this list was dope. I thought that he literally thought this out and put it together. We're gonna start with Group I. So Group I was, if you tell Woj, I'll deny it to the death of me, but I'm listening. And in this group, he had Evan Mobley ranked number 46 and Jared Allen ranked number 45. You scroll down a little further, and this is Group G, the incredibly touchable untouchables. Okay. Number 35 on that list was Darius Garland. You scroll down a little bit more. And what was this group here? What was the group here? Only if they made us do it. So basically, this is where Donovan Mitchell fell. That I would only trade him if I had to do him. So he had basically, yeah, it was the Untouchables, Group B. So Donovan Mitchell fell in Group B of the Untouchable, and Darius Garland was in the group of touchable untouchables. I want to know what y'all think. Is there anybody that you see on this Cleveland Cavaliers roster that you deem untouchable? That'd be something that I truly, truly, truly want to know. Is there anybody on this roster that you deem untouchable? McNuggets, what's up, bro? I was just telling everybody I was in there. I hit 12 straight shots. I never hit 12 straight shots in my life. Like, I'm coming for your title, bro. And I'm coming for Darius Garland's starting job. I promise y'all that. I promise you. But who's untouchable? Is there anybody on this roster that you deem untouchable, or can anybody be touched for the right place, for the right price? I think that I know I've said before Darius Garland should come off the bench, and I know there have been other people on this show that said, man, you should probably entertain trading either Jared Allen or Evan Mobley. But the truth of the matter is, man, I just really want to keep everybody and let everybody grow at this point. Like, I think that if we knew for a fact Spider was going to sign a long-term extension here, I think that the Cavaliers will be more open-minded to possibly moving on from somebody else. But the truth of the matter is, I'm starting to believe that this team really just needs experience, right? And if we can get Evan Mobley to start consistently knocking down those jump shots, not just three-point shots, and Darius Garland can continue to integrate himself into what's going on now, then I think that you might not have to move anybody. I think that this team is very, very deep, and I think that they're learning to play together. I know in years past, and this may or may not have changed, but a lot of people was of the belief, no matter how well Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland played, that either one of them could not be the best player on your team for the Cavaliers to win a championship. That dude would have to be Evan Mobley. Some people may or may not still feel the same way about that, but I think if he continues to develop his game, especially his outside game, then all of a sudden a lot of people become quote unquote untouchable. That's just me. That's just my opinion when it comes to that. I think that in the years to come down the line, we're going to see some players that are not necessarily making a significant impact with the Cleveland Cavaliers now start to have an impact as we get, um, further on down the line, 3, 4, 5 seasons from now. I'm excited to see how these young players can continue to grow into mesh. And I was telling a family member of mine that I think sometimes we got a microwave mentality when it comes to basketball. Like, I remember when I was a kid, the whole coming out of high school thing had just started coming around. But for the most part, people would go to college for 3 or 4 years. So they was coming into the league 22, 23 years old, and they were a little bit more developed than what we see now. And so I said this year was the unicorn year for Evan Mobley because it's year 3. But the truth of the matter is, man, we just got to let this thing take its natural progression and try not to rush anything. You know what I mean? Like, let this dude journey on however it is that he needs to journey on so that he can maximize on his potential and on his skills. So, y'all tell me what y'all think. Again, touchable or untouchable? Do you feel like there's any player on the Cleveland Cavaliers that's untouchable? If so, who is it? And if you feel like somebody is touchable or, you know, that will bring back more assets than you drop into, you tell me who that player is too. So we got a couple more minutes. I want to get to this and then get to some of these comments, man. Don't forget to watch all the Ultimate shows, the Ultimate Brown Show, the Ultimate Guardian Show when that debuts. The Guardian season is around the corner. Ultimate Cavs Show, and of course our flagship, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Make sure you subscribe, ring the bell to stay notified on all the latest things that we got going on. So you all know by now that Craig Porter Jr. went from undrafted rookie to getting a 4-year deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And kudos to that dude, right? He foresaw his dreams and it came true. He stayed down, he stayed grounded, he stayed working hard. And whenever he made the decision that I want to play in the NBA, I'm pretty sure in his mind he didn't expect that his entire journey would be what it is. Oftentimes, when you lay out a plan, you lay it out strategically: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But what in the hell do you do when C come before B, or D come before those first two letters in the alphabet, and you still got to dub back to B because you still got to get that part complete? What do you do when your plan doesn't go according to plan? I think it's important that people know, man, you got to stay disciplined in what it is that you believe in, and you got to believe in yourself to defy the odds, no matter how strong those odds are against you. A lot of times, man, people give up from chasing their dreams or stand on track with their journey because it's just too hard, because it's too painful, or because they're not seeing immediate results, or because they didn't got knocked on their ass 1 or 2 times and now they don't want to deal with it. We don't have much time left, but I want to tie Emoni Bates into this conversation. Emoni Bates was on our show Tuesday, and I asked him this question. Take a listen.
I really believe in the bottom of my heart that you got superstar potential, right? You don't go from being the number one ranked player in the entire nation to all of a sudden not knowing how to hoop at all. And, you know, I've been on this show. I said, you know, I think Emoni is going to be a baller one day. And sometimes people will say the rebuttal to that is, well, Emoni Bates is in the G League and he's a second round pick. And historically, second round picks really don't turn out to be much in the NBA. So tell the people today why you're the exception to that rule.
Because, first of all, I believe in myself, and I never settle for, you know what I mean? I mean, everybody got their own opinion on how they feel, but I know how I feel about myself, and I know my goals, and I'm going to chase them. I don't care how long it take. It can take 3 years, 4 years, or 5. I'm going to keep chasing the same goal. And like you said, I'm going to be a superstar in this league. It's only a matter of time. So, for me, it's all about keeping the main thing, keep grinding. I mean, time will tell. We'll circle back to this question, and everybody gonna.
Oh, for sure we will. We keep receipts around here.
Yeah. All I'm gonna tell you is, man, be great, be a leader, and F the haters, right? People gonna always have something to say, man. People gonna always believe what you can and can't do, just as long as you believe in yourself. We don't have much time. I'm just gonna throw these up. The city benefits from the team and the stadium those people don't want to put in because they'd rather have it free. Let's see. I would love for Cleveland to get it done. It would change a lot in terms of what it could be used for and how much money it would generate for the city. To expect to have them pay for it is ridiculous. Could be ridiculous. Still, how I feel. Haters don't stop. Let's see what this says. Cleveland needs to pay their teachers and cops. It's not even safe in Cleveland. Definitely agree with that, man. We got more things that's more important than a football stadium. Retractable dome would be sweet though. Isn't this how you all lost your team the first time? If he does, you might as well tear down the IX Center. He can easily take businesses from the city. Let's see here. Don't need no goddamn retractable roof. I don't know. I still think we need a retractable roof. I don't care what y'all say. Brownside haven't even won a division title since '89 and got 2 new stadiums built and made billions. Let that sink in. Easy money. Big facts, man. I wish I had more time to read more comments. I had already went over to my time, which means I'm probably about to get in trouble. But it's all good, man. Till next time, man. I love y'all. Remember, be great, spread love, being great. That thing come with a price, spreading love. That thing is priceless. Peace.